You know, when I was a kid, I was big into astrology. I liked looking at the moon in particular. And every time I did, I always thought to myself, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? What's the point of any of this? I went through a lot of my life assuming that none of these questions would ever be answered. Until today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Candice Debebe's Scandalous Secrets. Scandalous Secrets is the sophomore entry into the Candice Debebe franchise. If you're at all familiar with the first game, you would know it's a little bit nutty.
I'm not just a whale, I'm Waltros, sea creature and performance wrecker extraordinaire.
If you're a fan of the surreal elements and bizarre comedy, you'll be happy to know it's still here in the sequel. And in a way, it's a lot nuttier.
This is an ancient magical artifact that will allow you to travel throughout the solar system.
Oh, thanks, Natalia. Do we know if it looks like a fishbowl?
I've enjoyed the first game a ton. I beat it 100% even. And I will tell you that it's a decent comedy RPG that's very interesting and has a surprisingly catchy soundtrack. The second game has a lot of the charm of the first. It still has its quirky characters and its surprisingly engaging plot. The only thing that has fundamentally changed is the gameplay. You'll notice that the game is 2D now. This change, I would argue, makes a lot of sense. The shooting combat of the last game was the worst part of it by far, but now there's only 2 dimensions. Makes it a lot less awkward feeling. Scandalous Secrets also contains platforming puzzles, which is good because it adds something besides just shooting things. I'm not saying that the platforming is good, because it isn't. It's very awkward. The wall jumping can be really fun once you get used to it, but pulling it off decently can be a nuisance. It requires you to hit jump every time you hit a wall, but you also have to continue holding left or right or else you lose all momentum. I eventually got it to work, but it definitely feels weird. First game suffered a lot from the lack of a difficulty curve. In other words, it wasn't very hard. I rarely ever died, and if I did, there was pretty much no punishment. The second game has a lot more of a wild difficulty curve. The game is vastly more difficult with some pretty ridiculous difficulty spikes in places. In particular, the boss fights. They have a bad tendency of pinning you against the wall and pummeling you to death almost instantly. The AI hasn't seemed to improve either. And as a result, the game has a very inconsistent difficulty curve. Those are all the major changes. A lot of them are good. The game isn't perfect, but there's some good stuff to improve on in the future. Now, let's get on with the real reason you and I are here. The plot. El Plato. We start off the game as Candice's son, Sebador, who takes on a quest from his grandmother Natalia to retrieve an ancient relic for unknown reasons. Once you get it, we cut to our beloved hero of the universe, Candice Debebe.
Yow. I is Candice and I'm coming back again. Got bangy rhythm and I'm back changing the game. Been a long time coming, but it's worth the climax. Looking we'll trip the nether, but let's not get sidetracked. Add a few more kids, but I'm still the top bitch. Fuck the hits, cause they know I'm still the top bitch.
Conflict arises when Candice's sister Brandy turns into a grandma. In other words, a big floating disembodied head. Candice seeks out the grandma queen, hopeful that she could reverse this, but Candice instead has to be shown once again that grandmas are hip and cool and totally relevant. Where have I seen that before?
Candice,
Yeah, babes.
you need to learn a lesson, young lady. And you know what that means.
A trip to the Gran Canaria Tower.
A trip to the Gran Canaria Tower.
Once you've beat the queen, you return to find Natalia. This is the point where you can choose which character to play as. This was a really cool idea. The order you choose doesn't affect the story, but the flow of the narrative changes because it requires you to put the pieces together and figure out what happened, and what will happen next. Crystal's plot involves her concert grounds being taken over by Xtabel's dark spirit. Crystal must overcome her dark inner self, or something like that. Megaz becomes the CEO of a multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical company. But her plot involves becoming one with the mermaids to find the Fountain of Youth to create the ultimate pill, or potion. Sebador must work with Natalia to retrieve the stolen artifact, a fishbowl that allows you to breathe in space. Nope, not gonna question that, nope. And finally, Candice must travel into space to unlock the power of a mystical orb that ends up getting her pregnant. However the hell that works. On second thought, no. Don't think about it. Don't ever think about that, please. All of the stories have one central plot thread tying them together. The magical orbs. Each character must unlock an orb for Natalia. Why is she doing this? What is she planning? You won't find out until you complete all 4 campaigns. This is a really neat approach to narrative, which I haven't seen very often in video games. It turns out, shocker of all shockers, Natalia was planning something rather nefarious.
Now you have returned to me, I demand you all to myself. Kill them!
Very well, my master.
I do like this plot twist, even though it was kind of obvious. I still didn't expect Natalia to betray you. Before our heroes become lost in the void of space, they are saved by an unlikely savior.
You fools! You've broken down the intergalactic seals that were the only thing protecting us from Bizard, the magical bitch emperor.
Now with the help of Xtabel, you must retake the universe from the evil Valvatron army led by the feared and spiteful Emperor... Bizard? 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 That isn't the weirdest alien name in the game, believe it or not.
Would you like to play with your great emperor? No. I'll be nice. I promise.
No comment? No comment. No commento. El no commento. At this point, you can now play as all 4 characters in a series of side quests to acquire new weapons to defeat the alien army. All of them involve saving the minor characters, such as Grandma Queen from the imposter Alien Queen. After you complete all 4 trial levels and gain 4 more keys, you confront Natalia and Bizard for a final showdown. In a very shocking turn of events, Natalia betrays Bizard and joins you to fight him.
Feeling exhausted, Bizard?
Never! I'm just as exuberant as... That's master to you!
You're just as much of a vain fool as ever, Bizard. Did you really think I'd return to you to become subservient after all this time?
Oh, it's the plot twist we've all been waiting for.
I'm not gonna lie, all of the boss fights suck. But this one sucks worst of all. He does so much damage, he can kill you so quickly, it makes the fight feel really unfair. You can only damage him with specific attacks at specific times, which the game is very bad at communicating. Not to mention you frequently get stuck on platforms and walls in this very confined space. Long story short, this boss fight sucks. A lot. I died so many times it's unreal. But after I grinded for a bit, yeah, I admit it, I grinded. No shame, I grinded. I eventually beat him and saved the day. Oh yeah, and Candice has an alien baby. Candice too. Aw, how adorable. still don't want to know how that works. I have to say it, the boss fights are the worst part of this game. The final boss fight is the worst by far, and all of the others suffer from the same issues as previously mentioned. To be honest, I wasn't as engaged to the plot as the first game, even though it did have some fun twists to it. I think some of the charm is worn off. I think that mostly has to do with the game being as absurd as it is. I mentioned this in the Jekkus as well. If all your stuff is absurd, it gets old after a while. I'm honestly not sure where you could possibly go from here. But to be fair, the game has taken steps in the right direction to become more diverse. I'm not a fan of 2D platformers, but it was something new at least. I'm very much interested in where this franchise goes from here. If it does become a franchise, that is.
Tired of hearing me talk about a certainty. The doctors don't know anything. It's not right, not right. Well, my belly sure does hurt me, but it's okay.